All right, so I just started the recording, and we can just go ahead and hop right in. So,
Sounds good.
with our team comp, you're grandmaster on support, so you obviously know like comp names and whatnot. Do you play in team environments at all, like in scrims and whatnot?
No, not
No.
really. No, no.
All
I
right.
mainly play solo.
So you guys are on a dive. It's always really good to know what comps we're working with on our team and the enemy teams
Yeah,
because we adapt our play style pretty much all the time to what comps we're working with. Enemy
yeah,
team, probably they're running much more of a brawl comp. So we are just gonna have to be careful that we're kind of dancing around them and not running straight into them.
yeah, yeah,
Okay. I like the decision to not just kind of run straight into the Reinhardt there. Just consider us all right. So sometimes you don't have to take this complete flanker on the angle, and we could just go where Monkey went and just go straight over top. That way we end up a little bit closer to them.
yeah. I completely failed that.
Are you aware of Tracer's kind of fall off range?
You mean for the blinks?
No, for her damage.
No, not really.
All right, so her damage fall off. Obviously, Tracer's a lot of spread. So the further
Yeah,
away you get from people, uh, there's two types of things that will make damage do less the further away you get. There's spread, which means that the further away we are, the less bullets we're actually hitting. Because when we're right up here, it's easy to hit everything. When we're further back, then some shots are going to start missing, right? Because it just goes around them, or like maybe even something like this, right? All that you can see the bullets just going around the person, and then we don't
yeah,
kill them. But then the other thing we have on Tracer is that she has damage fall off. So the further away we go, the less damage we are actually going to be doing. And a lot of times in that fight, we're kind of hovering around this range and just kind of poking them from a distance. When Tracer's damage fall off starts at 13 meters. So
okay,
that's going to be, that's 10 meters. So that's going to be right around here. It's going to be like 15 meters. So we want to make sure that we're staying within this range most of the time so we can keep our max damage. We can, from here, go in for blink melees.
yeah,
And we can do the same with blink pulses, right? So we want to be kind of trying to stick within this range, right? In anywhere inside of that, and of course you don't
okay,
want to always be within that range because sometimes that's just going to get us killed. But when we're in the middle of a fight and we're always poking in and out of this range, it just means our damage fall off is going to be or we're going to be doing less and less damage, right? So if we could, I
yeah,
guess we can kind of demonstrate that here. So 13 meters, okay. We'll go for body shots just so that it's easier to see. Yeah, we can one clip somebody. Right, we back up a little bit. Now you
yeah.
you can
It's
see we can't even one
yeah,
shot them. Okay, go even further
yeah,
back. Okay,
yeah,
okay. Now we're doing pretty much nothing.
yeah,
Right, just because of the fall off and the spread. So make sure we're hovering more around the distance that's gonna suit our character better, rather than kind of at more of a mid range. Trace is more of a close range character, to where you want to stay within that range whenever
yeah.
possible.
I see.
All right, so we're on Busan, right? Oh, I have a
Yeah, everyone.
whole
Yeah,
lot in
Busan. Yeah,
here. Hope this is it.
yeah. That's the one.
Now traveling.
Um.
Ready for battle.
Yeah, I mean, I know that. Well, as a healer main, obviously,
Mm,
whenever I'm against a tracer player, I already know that they're gonna kind of like be in my
mm,
face. Yeah, because of that fall of damage, I'm guessing.
yeah.
But
Mm,
I don't know. When I'm, for example, playing tracer, I'm like really scared to get
yeah.
in there.
Mhm. And the thing is, we should be not okay. The thing is, we don't want to be right here because then that puts
Yeah,
us within flashbang range. We're gonna get
yeah,
shredded by everybody. Just makes it easy for them to kill us. But if we're also going the exact opposite distance and we're standing all the way back here, now we're just not really doing much damage at all, and we're not able to follow up on kills as easily. Instead, we just want to be hovering more around this range, right, to where we can be shooting and getting the actual
yeah,
optimal damage in, and then we're just going to be doing more because the more damage you're doing, faster you get kills. Faster you get kills, the less time they have to get away. There's less time they have
yeah.
to use shields, get healed. So more damage and time to kill is always going to be better for us.
Okay.
Right. Let's see here. I think we actually like blink out to point or something like that in a second here.
Yeah.
Try to cap point.
I started taking damage. I was like, you know what? I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Just wanted to ask for heals,
Hmm.
I guess.
Right. At this point, we probably want to be just kind of assessing the fight. Um, we're down one. Yeah, okay, so this is still a very winnable fight, especially since we have pulse available. So
Yeah,
right now we're just looking for that pulse. All right, we're out of abilities. So make sure that when we are out of abilities, that we're not going straight back into the fight. I just was coaching a tracer player last night, and this is exactly something they were struggling with. But in here, not really in immediate danger. Nobody's looking at us. Nobody's on top of us. And currently we have one single blink, no recall. Whenever we are, especially recall is going to be the bigger one here, but blinks also will impact this. But our ability usage or the abilities that we have off and on cooldown will affect our aggression level. When we don't have abilities, we want to play passive, especially if we're in a safe place like this, and let those recharge for a little bit, right?
yeah,
Let the recall cooldown come down a little bit, let our blinks come back online, and then we re-engage. But pretty much as if you're gonna see in a second here, we decide to just go straight back into the fight, and then now we're in the middle of point with no recall, no blinks, and then that's going to be very, very dangerous for us. And we might end up dying here just because we don't have any abilities. All right, let's see.
yeah. That's
Okay, so we
what
do.
happened.
Yep. So
Yeah,
got to be really, really careful with that. Watching our abilities and making sure that whenever we're out of abilities, that we just play a little bit more passive until we get those back, because we can't re-engage if we don't have our abilities.
yeah, yeah. It makes sense.
Yeah, good blink. Pulse bomb though there.
Thank you.
Hello, move up at my position.
You'll see me melee for no reason.
Well, that of course that's no real issue when you're just in spawn like that.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Was it
Really?
worth to recall that after that shatter or no?
Yes, because if we take a look at that, we're getting high noon, so that first off we get shattered, and I think we took like half damage. So
Yeah.
shatter, one, two, three, six,
High
six,
noon.
got down to 70. Recalled, get all that HP back, so we got half of our HP. Plus, I think we also dodged out the high noon. I don't.
Yeah.
So yes, that recall was
Okay.
good because recall has two main purposes. One, to get our health back. Two, to get out of a sticky situation. Right. So
Yeah.
that did both for us.
Okay. I told myself that maybe I had time to dash out. I could have been maybe like a bit more sneaky at dash on that health pack.
Yeah, that is possible, but most of the time you're just gonna want to rely on the recall because we didn't see health pack. What if health pack was taken by one of the five other teammates?
Yeah.
Um, we don't really want to take unnecessary resources from our team, and we also have a self sustainability. Especially when a ton of damage is coming out like that, just it's fine to use the recall. Now, good
Yeah.
decision. I like that. This is just their grandmaster awareness coming through. I feel like this is gonna be something that will notice is that you probably will have very good awareness, as you have to have good awareness in if you're in grandmaster. So
Yeah.
um, we notice that we lost the fight, we back out, we regroup. That's very good.
Yeah. I'm also waiting for my heals here.
Yep.
Hello there.
Mm, I mean, I'm not grandmaster just yet. All right. I'm still in the
Oh.
try hard mode.
All right. So oh, you're not grandmaster in support or what?
No,
You're
I'm
saying?
like I'm at 2.7k currently. Like 27. No, sorry, 37 40.
Okay. Mm.
Yeah.
Kind of lost there for a bit. Did we think that they were coming back from spawn?
Uh, to be honest with you, I was thinking that maybe I think that in my head we killed somebody, and I wanted to maybe spawn camp that person.
Mm-hmm. Alright.
Uh,
Well, just make sure we're paying attention to kill feeds because I do not recall. Okay, so we got
yeah. No, no, we didn't.
yeah, they got one kill on us. None of them are dead. Kind of just walking around on their spawn here. So this is just a lack of
Yeah.
awareness of where they're at.
Yeah. 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 Just pure terrible tracking.
Alright, so it's always good with our ability usage to make sure that if we're going to try to recall that we're not adding in an extra blink because then that wastes the blink, right? So just recall straight up. Don't add in the extra blink. That's just a habit that you have to try to get out when you're playing. Get out while you're playing Tracer. Okay,
Yeah.
now we can go more aggressive. Just waiting for the abilities to come back. I like it. Very good. All right. So whenever we're going in on a flank angle, we want to make sure that we're trying to sync up with our team to where we're engaging when they've already when the fight has started or when our team is engaged. Because if we don't, then that means that they are able to kind of pay more attention to us. They can send more people to look at us. So when we're
Yeah.
engaging right here, Doomfist is able to come chase us down. Whereas if they'd already started the fight, maybe we can just go on supports for free without them being able to send as many people, right? That creates a
Yeah.
crossfire to where now if they turn around to kill us, our team has free reign on the front line. If they don't turn around to kill us, then we have free reign in the back line, right? So it splits the resources, but when we engage before they've actually engaged, then that creates a little bit of a problem for us because then we're forced out, which now we're not in a good position to engage because we are forced to back up.
Yeah. I think I asked him to like push in a little bit because I was on the flank, but I don't
Yeah,
really remember it.
probably most of the time you're not going to want them to push into the choke. Instead, just wait for the enemy team to walk up through the choke, and then we can
Yeah.
engage on their back line kind of while they're walking through that choke, right? Then they're getting blasted on the front line by our team, and then we're blasting them in the back while they're trying to back up, and then that can really, really do some damage.
Okay.
Right. So, the angle that we're taking right here. So,
Mm.
we are just kind of shooting the front line. So, when it comes to priority targets, and this is isn't really something you have to worry too much about on support because most of the time on support, or I guess this really depends on what sport you're playing, but most of the time on support, you're not going to be doing a ton of shooting of enemies. So,
Yeah.
when it comes to priority targets of which are the best things to kill, most of the times tanks aren't the one. Tanks have 3 times the health of DPS and any squishy target, right? DPS supports. Um, Supports, for example, right? Lucio and Mora, they can pocket a Reinhardt better than they can pocket each other because it's harder to heal yourself than 2 people heal somebody. And then at the same time, DPS and supports just have more statistical output, right? DPS do the damage, supports do the healing. Tanks are there to create space for the DPS and the supports. So if we have kind of any opportunity to, we should be trying to bypass tanks and go onto the easier targets to kill that get more value. So if we're sitting here on the front line, then first off, we're not going to get any value, right?
Yeah.
Compare Tracer to like I don't know McCree, Torbjorn, Soldier, right? We don't have nearly as much shield break. We don't do pretty much do anything from the front line. Tracer's not a frontline character, and
Yeah.
then at the same time, we're trying to shoot at the one target that's the hardest to kill on their team.
Yeah.
Um, when instead, what we could be doing is, the same angle that we took last time, but now that we're pressured out of that, we probably want to be maybe coming left, or like we can blink past the Reinhardt. We can come up left side here, poke at them from this angle, come left side, poke at them from this angle, right? And then if we need to, we just back up this way. The big thing is that we don't want to have to just spam shields, right? When we're just spamming as shields,
Yeah.
this means that we're doing pretty much nothing on Tracer. We want to be trying to bypass shields and bypass tanks. As on Tracer, out of any DPS character, that's almost the easiest to do. Like, maybe with the exception of like Reaper or Doomfist, Tracer has one of the easiest jobs of a DPS to just pretty much just never have to shoot at tanks or shields, because you can just blink past them, go on a flank, go on an off angle, and get around them. So we don't want to have to be spending our time spamming the shield, spamming
Yeah.
the Reinhardt. And then the other thing this does is it just means that we're taking unnecessary spam damage. We end up getting caught in shatters, right?
Yeah.
Like this. We end up getting caught in shatters, this is the second time that we've been shattered. So
Yeah.
if we're on a flank or an off angle, like the top left example that I said, right, we're getting caught in a lot less spam, getting caught in a lot less damage, and it creates a crosshair effect again where they have to split their attention on us. So the
Yeah.
main kind of things that we're looking at so far is positioning, right, making sure that we're taking the right angles that kind of our character should be taking, because our character is in a support, right? And then on top of that, ability usage, and then what was the one right before? And then staying within our range on shooting people.
Not ready.
All right.
Okay, come back into this fight. We see that we still have 4 people alive, and we're coming back with I think our Doomfist or something like that. So this is very winnable. Oh, gotta work on
This
that.
was this
Yep.
was a failed flick. All right. I really tried to stop that McCree from ulting, but I completely failed it. I went too far, and then I was like too late. Yeah.
Yep. Just keep in mind sometimes that you will have, like, if you're doing this pretty much immediately, you'll have a second before he's doing it. Now, if he's just going for you and that's it, then he might do it immediately. But if he's trying to charge it up on the entire fight, he's charging it up for a second or two, right? If we kind of go and look at, he's 4 seconds and he draws at 4 seconds, right? So he didn't draw in the first half a second. He had to charge it up for 2 seconds. So that
Right.
means that we have 2 seconds to get that pulse bomb in. So don't try to panic throw it. Right, take an extra half a second, take an extra second to line that up. I also really like that I don't know if this is on purpose or not, but we did blink out of the high noon there, so that worked out well for us. All right, at this point we probably wanna. What's the likelihood that from this position that we're gonna get out?
Very almost none.
Yeah. So at this
Just
point,
die.
probably just die.
Yeah.
They have 86. As Tracer will probably be able to get back to the fight by the time that hits.
Yeah.
Hits 100. Now he's about gonna get back up.
And I told myself, I don't know, maybe I could tease these kids a little bit. But to be honest with you, I just ended up staggering my team. I
Yep.
don't know.
Right. So with Tracer, because we have those blinks, our kind of time, we have 10-second death time, and then instead of 10 seconds to walk back, for the normal character, we're going to have maybe like 5 seconds to get back to the fight. So
Right.
we would have been able to get back pretty much right as our team's starting to engage, maybe slightly behind them. But that's much better than this, where now our team's engaging pretty much as we're dying. So yes, that was a stagger, right?
Yeah. And
So
I knew I was good too. That's the thing, but it's just that sometimes I don't have that mentality.
yeah, whenever we see that we lost the fight, usually the best things to be doing are get out if you can or die.
Yeah.
All right, what happened there? No, I meant to recall further. All right, nothing much we could have done there. Just got tapped, and then going on the next round.
Ready for
Yeah.
battle.
I believe that in the second part, I changed my sensitivity a bit,
Mm.
and so I might have played a bit better. I'm not sure though in the second part.
All right, do you lower it or higher? Like
I
put
lowered it.
put it. All right.
I had it up way too high.
Right. This is kind of the second time that we've done this. Try to be a little bit more aware of of where the enemy team is when we're coming to these fights. So don't just stare forwards. This is kind of an awareness thing. We can't just keep looking forwards here. We want to look left as well because the entire part of the map is on our left side. So
Yeah.
we want to be tilting our camera angle so that we're coming through here and we're going like this, right, to where we can see both right side and left side, right, to where we can see,
Right.
oh snap, they're all over there, so that we're not wasting time coming around this bend and then being late to the fight because they're pretty much already fighting over there, right? They get a
Right.
kill before while we're on the other side of the map. And then because we're also late, we are forced to use blinks to get in, which just wastes resources. We could have probably just, walked forward, blinked once, and then had our blink back.
The objective is now active.
My aim is all over the place the more I look at it.
Alright, so we can go over crosshair placement then. You aware of what crosshair placement is?
I mean, a little bit, yeah. I guess as Tracer, because she has spread, I would aim more at like the neck area.
Yep.
I guess, yeah.
The big thing is you just want to make sure that you're keeping it there. And then you can like, to be honest, like if you're aiming at the neck area, then you're hitting a lot of body shots in there too. Like if you're aiming just at the head level, usually that's fine. On characters, like you'll be able to hit here and get a lot of value out of hitting there because the headshots will just make up for the shots that you're missing.
Yeah.
Let's see, like, can we find? I guess we'll trying to find a distance here. So that's neck level. That's head level. You can see that you're kind of killing them faster if we're aiming
Yeah.
the head level than if we're aiming at the head level or the neck level. No.
Yeah, it takes a whole clip for the neck area. Yeah.
Right. So I'm pretty sure. Yeah, you can pretty much still hit head level on Tracer because you're gonna be getting most of those shots in, which just will do more damage than when we're mixing it with the body shots. The big so we just aim head level. And when we aim head level all the time, right, we're walking around aiming head level. That means we have to adjust less of a distance, which makes shots much easier to land. And then also on top of that, all spam damage that we're doing is now, instead of just we're spamming down this corridor and we're hitting body shots, now all spam damage just turns into headshot damage, which means we're just doing a lot more, right? We're just turning these corners and we're
Yeah.
hitting headshots, and then now we're killing things much faster.
Yeah. Okay. That makes a lot more sense.
Okay, we can aim head level at doorways, corners, corner, doorway. So if we see their top right, we aim a little bit away from the wall. Okay, and then that gives us some time to react to them, and then our crosshair is pretty much already on top of their head as they're turning. Right.
Yeah.
We know their left side, so we're pre-aiming left, aiming head level as we're turning here, and then we're pretty much already staring straight at them.
I see.
Right.
Okay.
Here, we know that they're slanted down a little bit, so we're just going to do like a triple blink into them, but we're already going to have our crosshair aimed down.
Right.
Right. So we want to keep our crosshair at that head level so that it just becomes easier to land these shots as we walk around, right?
Okay.
With your blinks, again, with trying to get behind people, when you're in duels or you're shooting at people, we want to try to use our blinks to kind of juke people out by getting around them. So very simple thing is just, they're coming straight at us, we blink behind, we turn around, and then we can shoot at them. If that makes them, it kind of basically, they lose sense of where we are. They have to turn around and try to find us, which gives us free time to shoot at them. And if they turn around again, we do a second blink, and we can do the same thing twice in a row, right? So blink, they turn around, and then we blink back, right? And then we can kind of make them lose their sense of awareness. We can do this from side to side on people, right? So we can do this from the side angle as well. Get to the other side of them. Just try to, you can practice this in training range. You just want to try to be aware of, if I'm blinking this way, I'm just basically just turning around, right? So pay attention to which direction we're blinking in. So we're looking the opposite direction so that we're already kind of locking onto them.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, I already do this mainly because I know that most of the time when I'm playing Tracer, there's always a McCree. So I always try to do one of those 180s and 90 degrees, so I can dodge that flashbang.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is that in practice range, compared to a game,
Yeah.
it's
Practice
just
practice
yeah,
range is only the place where you practice the technique, and then you can start to apply it more in free for all. While you're like in queue, tryhard free for all is good as well. And then while you're in game, you can focus on trying to implement it. Now that's gonna be like the big use of it. Like this can be used on one person or even six people, right? If you have a bunch of people looking at you, right, we can just blink to the other side of them, and then now it gives them extra. It takes more time for them to look at us than if we're just blinking from here to there, right?
yeah,
It's much easier to just look from here to there than to look from here to what, like there, right? You have
yeah,
to they
yeah,
leave our field of view, which makes them harder to acquire, and then we have to do a quick flick around or turnaround, right? Which means that we have to try to relocate them. So whenever we're getting behind them or to the side of them, then that makes it more difficult than if we're just in the front of their line of view, right? And then we just go to the side, right?
for sure,
Right.
for sure, yeah. All right, I'm gonna try to focus more on that than playing
Now
off angles
traveling
and
to Busan.
blind spots, I
Ready for
guess.
battle.
Yep.
Ready for battle.
Right. So here we approach, right? We Lucius up on the high ground, right? If you just kind of look at our line of sight, or our kind of mercy jumping around, yeah, I think tracking could use a little bit of work. Just make sure we kind of keep our cross on them. What would you say your sensitivity is at currently?
So when I play DPS, I mean, I don't play much Tracer. I play a lot more Widowmaker
Uh
and I think McCree actually.
huh.
So my sensitivity is so I have 800 DPI
Mm.
and 2.67
Uh huh.
in game,
Mhm.
and on Tracer, in the beginning of this game, I had it at 4, I think, but then I dropped it to 3 point something. I'm not sure exactly what. I
Mm.
think it's 3.5 actually.
All right.
So
Well,
yeah,
yeah, that's pretty low, right? That's lower than my sensitivity, and I think mine's about average when it comes to low sensitivities. So
yeah,
yeah, you're definitely not high in any sense. So you can mess around with sensitivities. If you feel like it's too difficult to track people because you're too low of sensitivity, that could also be a problem too. So don't be afraid to just try out a higher sensitivity as well. Right. Gotta be aware. Good.
Sorry, yeah. No, I was just gonna say that it's very weird because, for example, when I play Tracer or Soldier or whatever, I have a harder time tracking than when I play, let's say, Zarya,
Mhm.
and I don't know why that is.
Um. Because Zarya doesn't require headshots, so there's a different. You kind of aim at center of mass on Zarya, so it becomes a little bit easier to hit shots if you're not
Okay,
having to hit kind of a smaller target, right? You can hit a bigger target versus a smaller target, so Zarya can be a lot easier to hit shots than a Tracer or Soldier if you're, of course, especially if your main objective is to hit headshots, which it should be.
right.
Wait for me!
I didn't know who to prioritize there.
Yep. Um, Make sure here to secure the kill. Pay attention to when Reinhardt charges this Doomfist. First off, Doomfist is our number one is our target here because BC is low. Okay,
Yeah,
Reinhardt charges the Doomfist. We should be paying attention to him. Right, still we see he
yeah,
survives. So when we glance over, we see he survives. This is where we just blink in real quick, shoot him once, and then he's dead. Right.
right. Should have
Then we
done that.
yeah, then we kind of look like we blink over towards the tanks, which I think is a good idea that we blink towards. That we try to go find some other targets, but also try to make it your, I guess, first instinct to look for those other targets, not the tanks.
Yeah,
Right? Tanks are what we go for if tanks are low. We go for tanks if they're out of position. We go for tanks if they're the only thing to shoot, but we don't make tanks our number one priority.
yeah. Finally, a kill.
Deja vu.
Right here, we probably want to just be going left side. We can blink in through this window, wrap around, and then now we're on a much better flank angle where we can get them from the side. We're at, I think we almost have pulse, yeah, so we can land a pulse from here, get around shield, get around tanks. Don't have to just spam from the front line. Here we approach maybe more head on, which just makes it easy for McCree to contest us. Again, we're playing outside of our distance on Tracer, right? That's with past 13 meters. That looks more like 20 to 25 meters. So just gotta make sure we're playing a little bit closer. When you have the time to, just line up those headshots real quick. Right, just blink in, line up the headshots so just he dies faster. Oh, watch for the res. Pulse, pulse. Oh, don't chuck it. Very rarely will you want to do Kobe pulses as it's very inaccurate. So if she's going for a res and we know she's standing still, just walk right up there, right? So the other thing we can do is if we know that she's going for a res, sometimes we don't even need to go for the pulse, right? If we see her, McCree just died, Mercy just flew straight up to McCree's body, just go for the headshots, right? I probably say as soon as I see Mercy flying in here, as soon as I see Mercy, I would be going, she's probably going for a res, right? Every time that what we say?
Yeah, that's exactly what I told myself.
Yep.
Like, yeah.
And then when we know she's going for a res, we can look for the headshots. We got the pulse off, but it was a Kobe, right? So just be careful that way we maybe land the stick. All right.
Yeah.
We're winning the fight, so we can play a lot more aggressive.
Doing the objective. Anyone want to join?
Right. Right now we want to be chasing down that Lucio kill. You see how you do pretty much no damage from that distance.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Good. Yep. I like that we're positioning either on the right side, left side also would have been good.
Enemy contact.
Try not to melee when you're on like kind of flank angles because that will reveal your position, right? So if you're making sounds like that, that's going to be a bad habit if we're on an angle where we want the surprise advantage. So that's okay if you're running back from spawn, but not in this situation. So if that becomes a thing where you're consistently doing that, that might be a habit that you want to break.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. Again, we're kind of playing outside that distance, which is fine to start off there. Probably no reason to blink back to the team. He could have stayed over there. Just blinking back to the front line doesn't really do much for us.
Yeah.
Your power. Get in there.
Again, good.
Sorry, yeah. What I wanted to do at first is I wanted to like record myself, for YouTube, so that way you could hear my shot calling as well and what I was saying. And here, yeah, no, I mean you'll see what I do here anyway, but
you get a nano boost and then what? Then you go for the Reinhardt, taking at the pulse.
I do a recall pulse, and I call it. I'm like, I'm gonna recall and I'm gonna pulse, and it happens.
Nice. Right.
But that's like the only thing that I did, kind of that I knew I was gonna do.
So in this fight, first off, I don't like the positioning that we start off the fight in. We also make our priority tanks in this situation, right? Again, where we have the wrong priority to where we're focusing the front lines, which, first off, and shields on top of that, right? Tracer's not a shield breaker. And then tanks shouldn't be our main priority here. And then we see like pretty much they just get pocketed, and even though we're shooting through a window here, and then we also get nanoed, we focus tanks here, and they just don't take any damage, right? They kind of take squat because we're just spending this whole fight shooting at shields and tanks. They get pocketed. We do absolutely nothing, right?
Right.
So major tanks aren't our main priority, and then we're going to be doing a lot more. Also, pay attention to kill feed, right? They have 6 people. We have 3 people. So using pulse in this situation is after you've already lost the fight. So that this is a overall at this point. Right, so I would imagine that in Masters you have some sense of when fights are won and lost. So make sure we're applying that even down here. If we see that we're down 3 people, that's most of the time going to be a lost fight. Actually, we're down 4 people. I missed one of them. So at this point, this is a 2v6, right?
Yeah, it
Ha-
was just a completely lost fight. I completely
Yep.
panic when I play DPS, so it's just like I don't
Mhm.
know. I need to relax a bit, I guess.
Yeah, yep. Relax, 100%. This is another thing that like the tracer last night had trouble with was like they kept panicking, and when you panic, you make bad decisions. So
Yeah,
calm down, take deep breaths. Remember, you're not in Overwatch League yet, right?
true.
So take deep breaths. You're not getting paid. This is essentially just it's a video game, so doesn't have any real life stakes at it. Now, of course, I love to win. You probably like to win games too.
For
It's
sure.
fun to win, but we're going. The more we panic, the more we're gonna lose. So try to put your best effort into making sure we're thinking
Yeah,
through clearly and not making mistakes like that.
yeah,
Right. So I probably say that lot of our main. I wouldn't say that there's. Sorry, I'm going to reframe what I'm saying. So I think that you're really good when it comes to general awareness of what's going on around you. You pay attention to your health. You need to really, really work on your ability usage. Your positioning is probably one of the biggest. I probably say is the number
yeah,
one thing you want to work on. First off, making sure you're in the right position on the sides of fights and behind the enemy team, not in front of the enemy team. And then on top of that, making sure that you're within your shooting distance. Now, I do think that your aim needs some work, but keep in mind as well that uh, good game sense and good awareness and good positioning and good ability usage will prop up mechanics. And when you have more time to shoot and when you have more time to concentrate on your aim, then you will be able to land more shots. So when you have bad positioning and when you have bad uh, ability usage, that will kind of take your mechanics and just go and shoot it that into the ground. Because if
right.
you're only in there for half a second and you're only able to shoot for half a second, you're not gonna be able to hit any shots. But if you can learn to prop up your mechanics with the other aspects of your gameplay, then you'll be able to see that mechanics is it's not just being able to click heads, you being able to stay in the fight at your appropriate distance for a longer period of time because we're using our abilities better and we're in within that actual shooting distance, right? And we're not just farming tanks the whole time. Then you'll see that you'll actually be able to do more, and it's not fully related to your ability to hit headshots, right?
Yeah,
Um, I was talking with the other tracer last night about this, and he was like saying oh, I love watching Kabaji play tracer because
yeah,
he just has insane mechanics. And I'm like, okay, well, when you're watching him, pay attention to where he's positioning, how does he use his abilities, when does he engage in the fight, right? Because those things are the things that you might not be able to instantly replicate his mechanics, but you can replicate those other things. And he's like, oh well, I think that his mechanics lets him get away with the things, and I'm like, no, absolutely not.
no,
He has amazing game sense as well. Because if you, for example, there's I play against hackers or have played against tons of hackers in my day, right? Those guys most of the time are plat players or somewhere around that range, right? They're not grandmasters just deciding to hack. They're plat players looking to get a taste of grandmasters. So they end up hacking. They have terrible awareness. They have terrible game sense. They have terrible
yeah,
positioning and ability usage. And because of that, yeah, they have amazing aim, probably better than like on par or better than Kabashi, right? But they don't know what they're doing, and therefore they end up feeding. And that means that typically up against hackers, unless our team gives up, because a lot of times that will happen because they'll kind of panic. But if our team's not giving up, it's usually like a 50-50 chance of winning that. Now that's all to get to the point of mechanics doesn't make the player a lot of the times. His game sense and his ability to know when and what to do what, that's what props up the mechanics and makes the mechanics seem insane.
right.
So a lot of the times our the other aspects of our kit are just making it so that we're not really doing much with our mechanics. Even if our mechanics are below average, we can make that average or above average just by getting our other aspects up to par.
Okay.
Right? Because again, look at the distance we're fighting at. We blink and then recall, try to get out of the habit of doing that.
Okay.
Oh, unfortunate.
Yeah, I totally forgot that I used my recall. Didn't have it.
Yep. Then on top of that, just try your best to try to stay outside of McCree's flashbang range.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, team is to regroup currently. Oh, we won the game. Did they C9 that or something? Or
Yeah, they did. No, no, we lost. Sorry, no, no,
no? Oh,
we
oh, because they're the blue team. I'm dumb. Dude,
yeah,
that always screws with me and when watching replays. All right,
yeah,
so let's go over the second one then.
yep. Second one, I think is one of the worst Tracer games I did so far. I
Mm.
think
Welcome to Rialto.
I
Yeah.
don't.
Ready for
Well, just
battle.
for future reference as well, because you are interested in, I think you do your own coaching. Typically, games where you feel that you played bad aren't the best games to review because if you're playing below average, I want to see your average gameplay, not your below average gameplay, because your below average gameplay is not going to happen all the time. That
Okay.
happens when
Okay.
you're in a bad mood. That happens when you're tilted. That happens when you're tired. I want to see how you play when you're feeling like you're playing well or you're playing
Okay.
average. Now, okay, of course, we'll still go over this if you don't have anything else to go over. But you typically, like when it comes to best games to review, and I probably should have given. I give typically when people say they want to go over replays, I'll give them some criteria to work with. But I say 1 to 2 games where you lost, but you think that you played well, right? And you really don't know
Okay.
why you lost.
Right. Okay. That makes that makes a lot more sense. That's what I say as well.
Hmm. Right?
Attackers
But I
Because
mainly coach Moira players, so
yeah.
I don't really know.
Yep. Because if you're making a bunch of mistakes here that you don't typically make, then I'm just gonna be like, yeah, you shouldn't have done that. You're like, I don't usually do that, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. I think that in this game though, I did focus a bit more on positioning so that I can
No.
take out the back line,
Mhm.
but I still keep my distance way too much for some reason.
Yeah. Mhm.
I
Yeah.
guess it's just a healer mentality. I don't know.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be something you need to work on because it has to be like saw in the training range and in our past game as well. When we're trying to play at that medium range, Tracer's in no sense a medium range character. You're
Right.
gonna be doing tickle damage at most and not able to finish off any kills. And we're not doing any damage. We're not doing any DPSing, right? So I probably say that's one of the bigger things you want to make sure that you're doing is making sure you're staying within that 13
5,
meters.
4, 3,
Okay.
2,
I will definitely work
1.
on that.
Attackers incoming.
All right.
13 meters off angles.
Stop
Mm.
the payload.
Probably much too close of an angle here. I would not engage at this point. So,
Yeah.
typically, you play Masters. When does its fight typically start?
Around well after they cross the bridge around this corner, yeah.
Around this
I
corner.
would say.
Yep.
Or like actually, yeah, I would say like this corner and then like there, yeah.
Yep. Typically, like especially like if you getting into Grandmaster, they'll start off here. They'll poke for a little bit, and then teams will back up to this corner because this corner is
Yeah.
better to hold.
Yeah.
Um. So if we're engaging back here, that means that the fight hasn't started yet. So what can the enemy team do?
They can just turn on me and just completely destroy me.
Yeah, they can just send like maybe they keep the tanks on the front line there, but they can send all 4 of these guys and just turn around and look at you. But if the fight has started, right, and we're engaging more like I liked where we were at originally, and we're kind of standing here. Um,
Yeah.
if we engage after the fight has started and the tanks and the DPS are on the front line and we go on the supports or something like that, then
Yeah.
now they have a lot less attention that they can spare to put on us. So that means that we have a lot more survivability and we're able to get a lot with doing a whole lot more or get away
Yeah.
with doing a lot more. But here we just we start shooting at stuff and then Hanzo turns around, right? Now we get the
Yeah.
kill, so that's decent.
I don't know. I don't know why I recalled there. I think I could have survived if I just didn't recall.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean this game I really wanted to play at
Mm.
an off angle, like completely in
Yeah.
their back line, like just in their
Mm.
face, constantly pressuring.
Yeah. So just that's kind of what you want to be doing, but it doesn't always keep in mind that a lot of times that can be from a side angle, not necessarily all the way behind them, because when we come from side
Okay.
angles, that gives us the so for example, like coming from something like this, right, or from the high ground, right? This gives us the option to get healed from our team, get support from our team, and then also like from here we can just kind of like, or here, right? We can just kind of drop on top of the supports in the back line and then just recall back up and get out, right? Or we can
Yeah.
even just poke at them from the high ground and do damage from the high ground, right, on the Reinhardt who's purple and half HP, and get a back angle on him and help our team melt him. Or we can come from the side angle, right? It doesn't always need to be from behind, but yes, that behind definitely does work. It just means that we're gonna need to like pretty much solely rely on health pack usage.
Yeah. I think that for some reason I just told myself that I really wanted to get as much value as fast as possible.
Uh huh.
So I just decided to go where they didn't see me, and I just decided to try and shoot them as best as I can. But I definitely see why that high ground would be much better,
Yep.
especially if I help the team get rid of that shield.
Which
It would have been
you don't
better.
need
Yeah.
to help get rid of the shield. What we can do is go behind, behind the shield and pressure. If we see that he's purple and then our team's about to kill him,
Yeah.
but we can help pressure him from behind, and we can just completely bypass that shield.
Yeah. That's exactly what I mean. Is help get rid of that shield by shooting at
Oh,
him,
help
and
by shield.
then
Okay, I
helping
thought you
him.
meant by shooting at the shield. I was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. No. Sorry. Yeah.
nope, that's exactly what I said not to do last time. All right.
Yeah.
So, in this scenario, we have a little bit of ability, or like kind of some ability misuse. First off, blinking in pretty much while we're out of abilities here. Recall is on 3 seconds and we're blinking in, so maybe wait an extra second or so before blinking straight in. We can keep in mind we can do a decent amount of. Oh, I'm recalled way too far out. So Gilan, you can do a decent amount of work without having to blink straight in. Let's see, what do we do here? We use a double blink? Yeah, I think
Yeah.
we double blink in, right? Gilan, if
Yeah.
we just kind of blink once in and we play more around here, right, and use this as cover for the Hanzo, and we can contest from here and do some damage from here while recharging our abilities. But we go straight for the double blink in. Now we're out of abilities, don't have recall, and then in a second here we're forced to use our recall and see what we do again. Blink recall. Okay, now we've wasted a blink for no reason. That's a really big habit. You try to
Yeah.
break that way. You're not wasting your blinks, and then now again inside of the enemy team, one single blink, no recall. Might end up dying here because of that. Yes, exactly, dying there because of that. So, um,
Yeah.
big thing there was our ability usage, and then on top of that, make sure you're paying attention to this angle, right? Not
Yeah.
just tunnel visioning this way.
Yeah. Yeah, at some point, I don't know if you saw, but there was even an arrow that flew in front of me right before that arrow faded out. So,
Yep. I think we knew that Hanzo was there after he started shooting at us, but we just had to be aware that he's there, before he starts shooting at us.
yeah,
All right, I'm gonna blow my nose real quick. So,
no problem, no problem.
My ultimate is almost ready.
Amplification matrix ready. Let them out.
Heal up.
我が敵を食らう
Enemy in my sight.
友人の剣をくれ
all right. So team has all died. Stayed in the fight a little bit too long. Maybe tried to get out or die faster. Yeah,
Yeah,
our team. I think our team in general just engaged at them at a poor timing. Right, that was just really close. We gave up good positioning to go in on them there. Oh, let's see. Are we gonna go right side? Oh, we land a big shatter. Go and pulse that.
I hope.
Good
Yeah,
job. Ah, they got bubbled out. Okay,
yeah.
so that's unfortunate.
I think I could have dashed a bit further and pulsed
Yeah.
in the back line more.
Yeah, the best thing that we can do there is make sure that we're looking at abilities that can stop our pulse. So, if we look at the enemy team comp, what are some of the abilities that we need to watch out for when we're looking for pulse?
So their team, there's the bubble,
Yep,
there's the deflect,
yep. One
and
more.
wait, so deflect, bubble, and I'm guessing charge.
I would say fade.
You're gonna say fade? Yeah,
Yep,
true, fade. Yeah, and
because
then
she can.
okay, yeah. Yeah.
because she can just fade right out of that and doesn't do damage, right?
Yeah.
Recall is one of them. Sombra Teleport Out is one of them. Reaper Wraith. There's a bunch of abilities in the game. Immortality Field. There's a bunch of abilities in the game that can completely just kind of stop Pulse on his tracks. So just be aware of those so that we can wait until if we can see Zarya's dead. Watch to see if Zarya's used those bubbles. If we are walking into this fight and we see, and of course now I didn't see this immediately, right? I had to rewatch this, but we come back in here and we see, okay, this fight has started. Zarya has bubbles. If we watch, we never see Zarya use bubble, right? And we never see Zarya use bubble. That means she still has it. So just has to be aware of that.
Yeah. I saw her use self bubble. I guess
Yeah. So we have to watch out for both of those, right?
yeah, for sure.
And then that awareness will allow us to make better decisions. Now, this would be a good pulse if she did have bubble, but if you know that she has bubble, probably the better one would be to go for the mercy in the back, right?
Yeah, that's the first thing I thought of. But I kind of just tunnel visioned.
Yep. So just whenever we have pulse, we always want to be thinking of how we're using them. When we're like 80, 92 pulse, and we think of the abilities, we watch for the abilities, right? Did Mora use fade? Did Genji use deflect? Did Zarya grab? Are any of those guys dead? We can always go for a different person than like or I guess Zarya can projected bubble people, but we can, let's say Zarya is too far away from a certain person or out of line of sight of a person, then we can pulse that person, right?
Огонь по готовности!
All right, so now we're down one person. This isn't necessarily lost until they use that. Now we just want to be backing up. Yeah, back up. Good decision. Health back. Now we probably, whenever we come into this next fight, we might want to be maybe retaking high ground and take that from them. Then that gives us an angle that we can kind of just, again, bypass shields, drop straight into their backline, or we can just poke at the backline from high ground and then recall out if needed, or just blink backwards or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Just high ground a lot of times can be really, really good angles that we can take. Okay, again, kind of poking the tanks in the front line.
Yeah, I do this way too much. I'm gonna stop doing this. Like that's not gonna lie to you, that's the only thing I see. Like I just see myself poking at the shield constantly.
All right, so then we go for the flank, but the problem here is that because we initially start our kind of shooting in the front line, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people see us go to the high ground, right?
Yeah.
So they now know that we're there because all of them watched us do it, and then that means that Hanzo just climbs up here and just headshots us immediately because they all watch us. So whenever we're going on a flank, we do our best to maybe try to hide the fact that we're going on a flank. So, for example, coming up to this high ground, this doesn't really give them much information until we're already shooting down on top of them, right?
True.
Let them up. Step right up.
None of this that
I waited for him to use the dash before I would blink.
Okay, staying outside of that range. Now we're getting within that range. Yeah, tracking just needs a little bit of work. So that's something that when you're practicing, I can give you real quick. I'll send you. You play a lot a day, so this is something that might really be applicable for you. Of course, this is IDDQD's kind of aim guide, and he gives a custom game that he uses, and he says that he practices pretty much 1 hour a day, but that's for an Overwatch League player who plays 8 to 12 hours a day, so you don't necessarily need to do that. This is just for especially I would say as a warm up. This is option. This is going to be really good. Just while you're in queue before you get into a comp game, this can be good to just practice for 10 minutes. And it can warm up your aim. This can help you practice your aim if you want to just dedicate 1 hour every 2 3 days, right? Um, just do this, and I'll send you the video real quick.
All right. I have this workshop code that I use every day, in between games, and just as a warm up. It's the code is Cave 5, but like I don't know, it has like really cool different modes for different like aim practicing and stuff like that. So
Uh huh. Yeah. He essentially he just does the same mode over and over again because it's a really effective mode. And I would just watch the video on it and just see how he does his practice. Now, I was showing this to the Tracer player yesterday, and it didn't really seem as because it kind of goes outside of the range for Tracer. So this of course, because it's just you know you're practicing it, you're only practicing really the tracking. So it's not gonna necessarily matter what if you're killing them fast. So it still can work for Tracer, but also another good character to practice on that would be. You said you don't just play Tracer, right? You play McCree and
Yeah,
Widowmaker. McCree and
I play.
Widowmaker are both good on those. Soldier is really good for it.
Um, yeah, I tend to play a lot of Genji as well.
Mm.
I don't know if yeah,
Yeah. The big thing is that that's just gonna help you a lot with tracking and make sure you're getting better at
for
that.
sure.
But just make sure as well as when you're playing that you're not autopiloting and that you're trying to focus on your aim, especially when the only thing to focus on is your aim, right? When we're going up
Yeah,
against shit like that, like in that situation where the only possible thing that we don't need to really worry about our ability usage, right? Because Genji's not even looking at us; he's the only body in this person in this fight, right? So from this point on, the only thing that should be like that we possibly need to think of is just make sure our crosshairs on top of this dude, right? And then once you'll notice when you do put that brain power in and that effort into to making sure our crosshairs on top of his head, you'll be hitting more shots because you're thinking about it more, right? Because aim isn't just an instinctual thing, right? Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
you can have a talent for aiming, but it's also you can work on it, and that's something that you can learn how to do. That will come by putting effort into it.
yeah, yeah.
Right. And continuing. All right. So actually, wow. We
Yeah.
end up running out of time there. Had a
Yeah.
lot of content to go over, so I'm gonna end the recording.